Thanks so much for joining us here on the Monsters in the Morning on Comcast SportsNet. Dan Jiggetts alongside my partner Mike North. And we welcome back to the Monsters in the Morning, the publisher of The Bear.
There he is.
John Crist. How you doing, John?
I'm doing very well, and I have actually slept, which I did not do the last time I came on the show. But yeah, good to be here after a Bears done.
Slept, and there's a win. Last week, you know, not a lot of sleep, nighttime game, and a loss. A little different mindset for
Very different conversation today. I think the Bears really need to be commended for whatever they did in the locker room to make those adjustments, because the first quarter and a half, this was not a good-looking football team. You had Roethlisberger come out with that 92-yard drive. Cutler really can't get anything going. There's a couple of drops by the receivers. It was an antsy Soldier Field, but Cutler did a great job in the second half. The pass defense stepped up. The pass rush got to Ben Roethlisberger, and Robbie Goldie's automatic, as always.
You know, one of the things that thought that ran through my mind yesterday is that, you know, as much as we talk about liking running the football, are the Bears any longer a running football team?
No. They're no longer a running football team. I think Forte's going to have trouble fighting. I think what they're trying to do now is it's almost like they're daring Jay Cutler to throw the ball and trying to stop the run. There's not a lot of space, John, it seems like, for Matt Forte. I'm not going to blame Matt for this. There seemed to be more holes last year.
Yeah.
But, you know, Adrian Peterson, seems like every year he gets in 5.1, 5.3.
He's 5.3
and then he's gone again. So I don't know what the deal is there.
This isn't necessarily a bad thing, because as we all know, the NFL is a passing league more than it ever has been. I mean, that's what the rules tell you to do. But Lovie Smith was, of course, asked this in the locker room after the game, and he still maintains they are a running football team. And I know we have Jay Cutler now. I know you have some receivers capable of making some plays, and the offensive line has proven to be better at pass protection than they are opening up lanes for Matt Forte. But you don't necessarily need to run for 150 yards per game in this league to win. You just need the illusion of the run. You need the rushing attempts just to give yourself balance. Yep. And I know Matt Forte's numbers are not very pretty after 2 weeks, but at least he's getting carries, and at least that is keeping those safeties cheating up toward the line of scrimmage from time to time, and that is why Jay Cutler is going to be successful.
Well, that, you know, you look at the playing against 34 fronts the last 2 weeks, and a little bit more difficult to run the football against those. But yesterday, Ron Turner, the offensive coordinator of the Bears, was asked about, you know, whether or not he's finding that balance.
Right.
And I think he took exception to the question. He said, you know, by the end of the season, you try to have everything balanced out. But, you know, some games dictate that you do something a little bit different, and this one certainly dictated that they did.
I don't think somebody who finished 30th or 29th in offense should take exception to anything right now. You know what I mean? I think that they should be happy what happened. They can't. 2.2 yards a carry for the second straight week, 11 carries for 29 yards. I know Matt's not happy about it, but as long as we won the game, maybe we'll need him one other game. We'll rip off a 30 yards.
Because I think
no turnovers is what I like.
Was asking the question about whether or not the passing game is being used now to set up the run game. And I don't think they ever want to admit that, but that's the way it really kind of looks at this point.
Well, I think just look at the other side of the field last night. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I mean, they've won 5, 6, 7, 9 Super Bowls, whatever it may happen to be, and they've done it for the most part historically, running the football and playing tough defense. But make no mistake about it, the Steelers are a passing team right now. They've got Ben Roethlisberger, Hines Ward, Santonio Holmes, Heath Miller. This is a passing football team. They're having trouble running the ball with Willie Parker. Maybe Rashard Mendenhall, the Niles West kid, starts to get a little more time. But I think Ron Turner is right to some degree. You can't just keep beating the ball into the line of scrimmage for no gain and expect to win.
Well, that's what I always said. Like Belichick would tell you after the first quarter, I'm giving up on the run. We might as well, Brady, throw the football. So I like what they did. You say, you're right, John. Well, quit trying for years. Why? I've heard people say, why did the Bears stop running in the third quarter late? When they're losing by 10, when they're averaging 3 yards a carry.
You know what, though? Some of it goes back to your defense, though, is if your defense, you know, you're trying to keep them off the field a little while, too. You want to run the ball.
But the defense, how about this, is playing great. I thought they were going to be, we talked about this 31-27 games. The defense has stepped up and done a good job.
Which normally happens whenever you look at a game and say, well, this one's going to be, you know, a low-scoring game. You know,
it's been 2 games in a row.
Here you come back and they play a tough ball.
I think that's the story. But the defense is unbelievable.
Especially after that opening drive by the Steelers when they marched up and down the field, receivers wide open all over the place. They really clamped down in the second half because only 8 yards of that 92 was on the ground. They couldn't find anything on the ground. Roethlisberger, wide receivers open all over the place. But I think the defense really stepped up. You had Brian Urlacher on the sideline. Hunter Hillmeyer is not Brian Urlacher. He's not going to make those sideline-to-sideline highlight reel plays. But he's assignment perfect, and he knows what he needs to do. He wraps up tacklers. He knocked down a big ball in the fourth quarter last night. he can get the job done. He's just not going to be highlight reel worthy.
No.
It was a cumulative effort. Lance Briggs made
Lance played great yesterday.
Nick Roach had a pretty good game. The
Yep.
secondary stepped up and played well in that second
Yep.
half. I think Daniel Manning, maybe he is your pure
he was the
free
one. He was the one that got burned on the touchdown.
Yeah, he was.
Made. But he just got caught on play action. He was frozen for a second.
It's 4th and 1 on the goal line. It's a do-or-die situation. I mean, that's the kind of thing where you're 50-50. You almost have
The
to
only thing
guess.
I didn't like is he's behind the guy a couple yards. You know what?
Well, see,
what are you going to
when
do?
he came off the line of scrimmage, he started looking into the backfield, and he's watching the play action, and then the tight end goes across his face.
That's what got Kevin Payne in trouble.
Well,
You better start pay attention.
Well, you can accept that 4th and goal from the 1 yard line.
because
you can't accept the 3rd one when you give up a 50-yard.
Get the other team's 30.
Right.
I'm with you.
A couple other things too about the play in the secondary. Zach Bowman. How did you feel about his first effort now as a starter?
I think there's no question he's the starting cornerback on this team. I mean, Nathan Vasher, great guy, former Pro Bowler. Whatever he's doing, he's just not doing it anymore. And the cover 2 system, as we all know, it lends itself to bigger, stronger, more physical players at the cornerback position. And now instead of just having one of them with Charles Tillman on the left side,
he played
got
great
another
too.
one on the right side. Zach Bowman reminds me of a younger Charles Tillman with more playmaking ability. I think he's going to be really good.
Reed makes those 2 field goals, we lose. What are we talking about?
It's a different ballgame.
What are we talking about? What are we discussing? How the Bears didn't score enough points?
I think you're talking about not getting it done.
The drops.
Right. See what one field goal can do.
Of course.
Robbie Gould has been the most consistent Bear on this team for the past 3-4 years.
He has, and was he wasn't a draft choice, was it?
No. Got him off the waiver wire.
Right. He was working construction somewhere,
he had a cup of coffee with the Patriots.
He was working for Chicago area lesson. That's what I heard.
He had a cup of coffee with the Patriots behind Adam Vinatieri. That wasn't going to work. And then he had a cup of coffee with Baltimore when Matt Stover was there. That wasn't going to work.
No.
This guy was in the construction business back in Pennsylvania where he's from. He gets the call. He gets the call when Doug Bryan doesn't work out back in 2005. And now he's a Pro Bowler. He is I believe, the number 2 most accurate kicker in field goal history.
Who's number 1?
Number 1, I believe, is Rob Baronis down in Tennessee. No, I'm sorry. It's actually Mike Vanderjagt.
I'll tell you what.
Mike Vanderjagt.
Jeff Reed, not only does he look like Paulie Shore, he looked like he was weeping openly.
Yes.
I've never seen a guy take it so.
He was especially weeping.
He was very lonely on the plane ride home, I guarantee.
What do you think Mike Tomlin had to say to him?
Yeah, he was not a happy
man. Maybe he needs that blonde afro back. Maybe it's throwing off his kilter just a little bit. He's not the same kicker with the shaved head.
Because he was 6'4" with the afro.
Exactly. It's like